Dr. Jiho Kim looked up from his research tablet as the alarm bells rang through the medical ship. The sound made his stomach twist with worry. He had been working on alien biology reports when the emergency started. Around him, the other doctors and nurses moved quickly to prepare for whatever was coming. "All medical staff to emergency stations," came the voice over the ship's speakers. Captain Suman Park's voice was calm but serious. "We have wounded coming in from a battle zone." Jiho put down his tablet and hurried to the main medical bay. The room was large and white, with healing beds that could treat many different types of alien species. The ship, called Harmony's Grace, was built to help anyone in space who needed medical care. It didn't matter if they were human, alien, or something else entirely. The chief medical officer was already there waiting. Vale Nash was a Thylorian, which meant she looked like a tall, thin person made of soft blue light. Her people were known for being gentle healers who used energy to fix injuries. She moved like water flowing, smooth and peaceful. "What do we know about the situation?" Jiho asked her. "A coalition military ship was attacked," Vale Nash said. Her voice sounded like music. "The attackers were Vectari warriors. Both sides have wounded soldiers coming to us." Jiho felt his heart beat faster. The Vectari were famous across the galaxy for being the strongest and most dangerous fighters. They came from a world where only the toughest survived. Stories said they never showed fear and never backed down from a fight. They conquered planets just to prove how strong they were. "How many wounded?" asked Lumara, another Thylorian healer, who had just arrived. "We don't know yet," Vale Nash replied, but Captain Park said to prepare for the worst. The medical bay doors opened with a soft sound. Captain Suman Park walked in, her face serious. She was a small woman, but everyone respected her. She had been commanding medical ships for many years and had seen terrible things in space wars. "The transport ships will arrive in 10 minutes, she told the medical team. "We have 12 coalition soldiers with various injuries, but the real problem is the Vectari. 8 of their warriors are badly hurt. Their ship's medical systems failed. During the battle, Crystal Song of Healing, the ship's Zephyrian surgeon, made a sound like wind chimes ringing. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals and spoke in musical tones. "Captain, Vectari physiology is very different from ours. Our normal healing methods may not work on them." "That's why Dr. Kim is here," Captain Park said, looking at Jiho. "Humans have experience with many different types of biology, and your medical methods are unique." Jiho nodded but felt nervous. Human medicine was very different from what most aliens used. While other species used gentle energy fields and harmonic frequencies to heal, humans had developed much more direct methods that other species sometimes found disturbing. The transport ships arrived exactly on time. The coalition soldiers came first. They were mostly Centaurians, who looked like humans but with golden skin and large eyes. The Thylorian healers went to work immediately, surrounding the wounded soldiers with soft light that began healing their injuries slowly and painlessly. Then the Vectari arrived. Jiho had never seen a Vectari warrior up close before. They were huge, almost 3 meters tall, with thick gray skin covered in natural armor plates. Their faces had sharp angles and their eyes glowed red. Each warrior carried scars from old battles like badges of honor. Even wounded, and barely conscious, they looked dangerous. The lead Vectari warrior was still standing despite having terrible injuries. His armor was cracked and dark blood leaked from several wounds. When he saw the medical team approaching, he raised his massive arm to stop them. "I am Battle Commander Kextar." he said in a deep voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. My warriors do not need help from soft species healers. Vale Nash stepped forward with her usual grace. Commander, your soldiers are badly injured. Please let us help them. Kextar looked at her with suspicion. Your healing lights are weak. Vectari flesh is strong. We heal from battle, or we die in honor. This is our way. But some of your warriors might die without treatment, Captain Park said firmly. Then they were not strong enough to live, Kextar replied. We do not trust alien magic to fix what battle has broken. Jiho watched as the Thylorian healers tried their gentle energy healing on the wounded Vectari. The soft blue light surrounded the warriors, but nothing happened. The healing energy that worked so well on other species had no effect on Vectari biology. Their thick skin and dense muscles seemed to block the healing frequencies completely. One of the Vectari warriors was getting worse quickly. His breathing was shallow and his red eyes were starting to close. Dark blood pooled under him on the medical bed. The alien healers looked worried and confused. Their peaceful healing methods were useless. Captain, Jiho said quietly, I think I can help them. But I'll need to use human medical procedures. Captain Park looked at him seriously. Are you sure? Vectari warriors are proud. They might not accept human methods. Their warrior is dying, Jiho replied. Sometimes pride has to come second to saving lives. Kextar had been listening to their conversation, his glowing red eyes fixed on Jiho with interest and suspicion. You are from the Death World, are you not? Earth? Yes, Jiho said simply. We have heard stories about your kind, Kextar said slowly. They say humans come from a world so dangerous that it tries to kill everything that lives on it. They say this makes humans either very strong or very crazy. Maybe both, Jiho said with a small smile. Kextar looked at his dying warrior, then back at Jiho. What would you do that these energy healers cannot? Jiho took a deep breath. I would need to operate on him, cut into his body to fix the damage inside. The medical bay became very quiet. All the alien healers stared at Jiho with shock. The idea of deliberately cutting into a living being seemed horrible to them. Even Kextar looked surprised. You would wound him to heal him? The Vectari commander asked. Sometimes that's the only way, Jiho said. On Earth, we learned that healing isn't always gentle. Sometimes you have to hurt someone a little to save their life. Kextar considered this for a long moment. His warrior's breathing was getting worse. Finally, he nodded slowly. Do what you must, Death Worlder. Show us what humans call medicine. Jiho moved quickly to prepare for surgery. He called for Do-Hyun Lee, the human medic who worked with him on the ship. Do-Hyun was young but skilled, and he understood human medical procedures better than any of the aliens on board. We need to set up for emergency surgery, Jiho told him. The patient is Vectari, so we'll need heavy-duty equipment. Do-Hyun nodded and began gathering the surgical tools. The alien medical staff watched with growing confusion as the humans brought out metal instruments that looked more like weapons than healing devices. Sharp knives, metal clamps, and electric devices that buzzed with power. Vale Nash floated closer, her blue light flickering with worry. Dr. Kim, what are those metal objects for? Surgery, Jiho said simply as he put on rubber gloves. We need to cut into the patient to fix the internal damage. The Thylorian healer backed away in horror. Cut into him? But that will cause more injury. Only temporarily, Jiho explained. We cut to fix what's broken inside, then we sew him back together. Battle Commander, Kextar and his remaining warriors gathered around the medical bed where their dying comrade lay. The wounded warrior's name was Torgrim, and he had fought beside Kextar for many years. His breathing was very weak now, and dark blood continued to leak from his wounds. "What exactly are you going to do to him?" Kextar asked. Jiho looked at the Vectari commander seriously. "His internal organs are damaged from the battle. I need to open his chest and abdomen to repair them. I'll also need to replace some of his lost blood with artificial blood we make in our labs." The alien medical staff gasped. Crystal Song of Healing made a sound like breaking glass. "You're going to open his body while he's still alive?" "Yes," Jiho said as he prepared the anesthesia. "But first I'll make him unconscious so he won't feel pain." Miran Choi, the human nurse, began explaining the procedure to the shocked observers. She spoke in a calm voice, as if she was describing something normal and everyday. "First, Dr. Kim will inject medicine to make the patient sleep," she said. "Then he'll use antiseptic to clean the skin and prevent infection. After that, he'll make a careful cut through the skin and muscle to reach the damaged organs." The Vectari warriors stood frozen in place. They had seen terrible things in battle, but the idea of deliberately cutting into a living being seemed beyond their understanding. They were used to violence that destroyed, not violence that healed. Jiho began the surgery. He made the first cut through Torgrim's thick skin with a sharp scalpel. Dark blood immediately flowed from the incision. The alien healers made sounds of distress, and several stepped backward. "Why is there so much blood?" asked Lumara, her musical voice high with worry. "That's normal," Do-hyun said as he used suction to clear the blood away. "Blood carries oxygen to the organs. When we cut, we interrupt that flow temporarily, but we can control it." Jiho worked deeper into the warrior's body. He cut through layers of muscle and tissue, each cut precise and purposeful. The watching aliens saw him reach inside the Vectari's body with his bare hands, moving organs aside to see the damage underneath. Kextar watched every movement with intense focus. "You put your hands inside his body," he said in amazement. "Yes," Jiho replied without looking up from his work. "I can feel the damage better this way. These organs here are torn. I need to sew them back together." The human doctor began stitching the damaged organs with tiny, careful movements. He worked with thread so fine it was almost invisible, repairing tears and tissue that the alien healers couldn't even see. "This organ pumps his blood," Moran explained, pointing to Torgrim's heart. "It was damaged in the battle and isn't working properly." As if to prove her point, the heart monitor began making alarming sounds. The warrior's heart was stopping. "He's going into cardiac arrest," Do-hyun said urgently. Without hesitation, Jiho placed his hands directly on the Vectari's heart and began pushing on it rhythmically. "Manual cardiac massage," he explained to the horrified watchers. "I'm pumping his heart by hand." The sight of a human squeezing a beating heart with his bare hands was too much for some of the alien healers. Two of them left the room quickly, unable to watch anymore. When manual massage wasn't enough, Jiho called for the defibrillator. "We need electrical shock to restart his heart properly." Do-hyun brought over a device that crackled with electricity. "Clear!" Jiho shouted, and sent an electric shock through the warrior's chest. The Vectari's body jumped from the electric current. His back arched and his muscles contracted violently. To the watching aliens, it looked like the humans were torturing their patient. "You're attacking him with lightning," Kextar said, his voice filled with disbelief. "We're fighting for his life," Jiho replied, checking the heart monitor. "Sometimes the heart needs a shock to remember how to beat properly." The electric shock worked. Torgrim's heart began beating strongly again. Jiho continued the surgery, repairing damage throughout the warrior's body. He removed pieces of broken metal from the wounds and cleaned out infected tissue. "Now I need to replace his blood," Jiho said. "He's lost too much to survive." The humans brought out bags of artificial blood, bright red liquid in plastic containers. They connected tubes to the warrior's veins and began pumping the artificial blood into his body. "You're putting fake blood into him?" asked Vale Nash, her blue light flickering with confusion. "It's synthetic blood that works just like real blood," Miran explained. "We make it in our laboratories. It carries oxygen and nutrients just like natural blood, but we can make as much as we need." Scout leader Vexhara, one of the younger Vectari warriors, spoke up. "On our world, if a warrior loses too much blood, he dies. That is the way of battle." "On our world," Do-hyun said as he monitored the blood transfusion, "we learn to fight death itself. We don't accept that someone has to die just because they're badly hurt." The surgery continued for 2 more hours. Jiho repaired organ after organ, stitched torn blood vessels, and replaced damaged tissue. The watching aliens saw him do things they thought were impossible. He removed an entire damaged organ, repaired it outside the body, and put it back inside. Finally, Jiho began closing the incisions. He sewed the muscle layers back together, then the skin. When he was finished, Torgrim looked almost normal, except for the neat lines of stitches across his chest and abdomen. "Will he live?" Kextar asked quietly. "He should recover completely," Jiho said, removing his bloody gloves. "In a few days, he'll be as strong as he was before the battle." The alien healers stared in amazement. They had watched the humans perform what looked like elaborate torture, cutting and shocking and filling their patient with artificial blood. But somehow, the dying warrior was now breathing easily, and his vital signs were strong. "How is this possible?" Crystal Song of Healing asked. "You damaged him so much, but now he's healing?" "That's human medicine," Jiho said simply. "On Earth, we learned that sometimes you have to break something before you can fix it properly." Kextar looked at his unconscious warrior, then at the humans who had saved him. For the first time in his life, the mighty Vectari commander felt something he had never experienced before. He was afraid of creatures he had thought were weak. These humans didn't just understand violence. They had made violence into an art form so advanced that it became healing. The medical bay was quiet except for the steady beeping of machines monitoring Torgrim's recovery. The Vectari warrior was still unconscious, but his vital signs showed he was healing well. The alien medical staff kept their distance, still, shocked by what they had witnessed. Hyunwoo Nam, the ship's tactical officer, entered the medical bay. He was a calm man who studied alien cultures and military strategies. When he saw the confused and frightened aliens, he understood what had happened. "I see our guests have experienced human medicine for the first time," he said to Jiho, battle commander. Kextar turned to face the new human. "Your healer just performed the most violent healing ritual I have ever seen. Yet my warrior lives when he should have died. Explain this to me." Hyunwoo nodded thoughtfully. "Commander, may I ask you about Vectari culture? Your people are warriors, correct?" "Yes," Kextar said with pride. "We are the greatest warriors in the galaxy. We have conquered hundreds of worlds." "And how do you view violence?" Hyunwoo asked. Kextar looked confused by the question. "Violence is strength. Violence is survival. The strong survive and the weak perish. This is the natural way." "Humans understand violence too," Hyunwoo said. But we learned something different about it. We learned that violence isn't just about destruction. It can also be about creation. Vailnash drifted closer, her blue light pulsing with curiosity. What do you mean by violent creation? Hyunwoo gestured to the recovering Vectari warrior. Look at what Dr. Kim did. He used controlled violence to save a life. He cut precisely where cutting was needed. He shocked the heart exactly when shocking was required. Every action looked destructive, but the purpose was to build something better. But why? Asked Lumara. Why not use gentle healing like we do? Because our world taught us differently, Hyunwoo explained. Earth is what we call a death world. Everything on our planet tries to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, even tiny bacteria wage war against us every day. Scout leader Vex Hara, the young Vectari warrior, leaned forward with interest. Your homeworld is a battlefield? Every moment of every day, Hyunwoo confirmed. Storms that can destroy cities, animals with teeth and claws designed for killing, plants that are poisonous to touch, diseases that attack our bodies from inside, earthquakes that split the ground open, volcanoes that burn everything around them. The alien healers looked horrified. Crystal Song of Healing made a sound like wind through broken crystal. How do humans survive in such a place? By learning to fight everything, Hyunwoo said. But, more than that, we learned to turn fighting into survival. We learned to use violence as a tool for life, not just death. Young-Ho Kang, the ship's engineer, had been listening to the conversation. He stepped forward with a data tablet. Let me show you some examples of what we call healing violence. He activated a holographic display that showed medical procedures from Earth. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as humans demonstrated various treatments. This is chemotherapy, Young-Ho explained, showing images of cancer treatment. When harmful cells grow in our bodies, we poison the entire body to kill them. We make ourselves very sick to destroy the sickness. The hologram showed a human patient losing their hair and becoming weak from the treatment. The medicine is like a weapon, Young-Ho continued. It attacks everything, but it attacks the cancer more than it attacks healthy cells. Kekstar stared at the images. You poison yourselves to heal yourselves? Yes, Young-Ho said. We learned that sometimes you have to hurt the body to save the body. The next image showed surgical amputation. A human doctor was removing a diseased leg to save a patient's life. The alien healers made sounds of distress. When part of the body becomes too damaged or diseased, we cut it off completely, Young-Ho explained. We destroy the damaged part to save the rest. But then the person is incomplete, Vailnash said, her musical voice sad. Not necessarily, Young-Ho said, switching to images of prosthetic limbs. We build artificial replacements. Sometimes they work even better than the original parts. The hologram showed humans with mechanical arms and legs that were stronger and faster than natural limbs. Some even had built-in tools and computers. You make yourselves into machines? Vexahara asked in amazement. We make ourselves better, Young-Ho replied. We don't just accept damage and weakness. We fight against it. Hyunwoo continued the explanation. On most worlds, life is gentle and peaceful. Species evolve to live in harmony with their environment. But Earth never allowed us that luxury. We had to become masters of controlled destruction just to survive. The hologram showed more examples. Vaccines, where humans deliberately infected themselves with weakened diseases to build immunity. Radiation therapy, where focused energy beams burned away tumors. Surgery to replace entire organs with artificial ones. Every one of these procedures would seem like torture to peaceful species, Hyunwoo said. But to humans, They're normal medical care. We learned to embrace necessary pain. Jiho, who had been cleaning up from the surgery, joined the conversation. The key word is necessary, he said. We don't cause pain for pleasure. We cause pain to prevent greater pain. We destroy to create something better. But how do you know when violence is necessary? Asked Crystal Song of Healing. Experience, Jiho replied. Thousands of years of fighting for survival taught us to recognize when gentle methods won't work. Sometimes the kind thing to do is the violent thing. Kextar walked over to look at his sleeping warrior. Torgrim was breathing easily now, his wounds already beginning to heal. My people understand violence as conquest, he said slowly. But you have made violence into compassion. Not just compassion, Hyunwoo said. We've made it into hope. When everyone else would give up and accept death, humans fight. We refuse to surrender even to death itself. This is why other species fear you, Vexhara said suddenly. Not because you're violent, but because you make violence serve life instead of death. Miran Choi, who had been monitoring the patient, looked up from her instruments. Commander Kextar, your warrior is waking up. Everyone gathered around the medical bed as Torgrim's eyes slowly opened. The massive Vectari warrior looked around in confusion, then tried to sit up. Easy, Jiho said, gently pushing him back down. You've had major surgery. You need to rest. Torgrim looked at his commander with surprise. Kextar? I thought I was dying. How am I alive? The humans saved you, Kextar said quietly. They used their death world medicine. Torgrim looked at the humans with new respect. I felt no pain. How did they heal me without pain? They didn't, Kextar replied. They caused great pain, but they made you sleep through it. They cut you open, moved your organs around, shocked you with electricity, and replaced your blood. And somehow, this healed you completely. Torgrim stared at the humans in amazement. They tortured me back to health? In a way, yes, Jiho said with a smile. That's exactly what we did. The recovering warrior laughed, a deep rumbling sound. I like these humans. They understand that strength sometimes comes from accepting pain. Kextar nodded slowly. Yes, but they understand something more. They understand that causing pain can be an act of love. 3 days had passed since Torgrim's surgery, and the results amazed everyone on the ship. The Vectari warrior was not only alive, but stronger than before. His wounds had healed at a rate that seemed impossible to the alien medical staff. He was already walking around the medical bay testing his strength. This is remarkable, Vailnash said to Dr. So-Young-Han, the ship's medical researcher. With our healing methods, such injuries would take months to heal if they healed at all. So-Young nodded as she studied the data on her tablet. Human medicine works because it works with the body's natural healing processes instead of trying to replace them. When we repair damaged tissue surgically, we're helping the body do what it already wants to do. But your methods seem so destructive, Lamara said, still confused by what she had witnessed. That's because we learned medicine on a world that's constantly trying to destroy us, So-Young explained. Every human medical technique was developed to fight against some threat from our environment. Battle Commander Kextar had been watching his warrior's recovery with growing amazement. Torgrim was moving with ease, showing no signs of the terrible injuries he had suffered. The Vectari commander approached Dr. Kim with a request that surprised everyone. Human doctor, Kextar said formally, I want you to treat my other warriors. Are they injured? Jiho asked with concern. Not from this battle, Kextar replied, but all warriors carry old wounds, injuries we have kept as honor scars, proof of battles survived. Your medicine could heal wounds we have carried for years. Scout leader. Vexhara stepped forward. Commander, are you sure? These are our battle marks. They show our strength. They also cause pain and weakness, Kextar said. If human medicine can make us stronger without erasing our honor, why should we suffer needlessly? One by one, the Vectari warriors began showing their old injuries to the human medical staff. Combat Medic Tae Hyun. O examined each warrior with professional interest. This warrior has a badly healed bone break, Tae Hyun told Jiho. It never set properly, so his arm is weaker than it should be. This one has internal damage from an old wound, Jiho added, examining another warrior. It's slowly getting worse, over time, and this warrior has damaged nerves that cause constant pain, added Dr. Borashin, the ship's psychologist. He's learned to ignore it, but it affects his reaction time in combat. The alien medical staff watched in fascination as the humans diagnosed problems they had never noticed. The Thylorian and Zephyrian healers were skilled with energy medicine, but they couldn't see the subtle internal damage that human training had taught them to recognize. How do you detect these problems? Crystal Song of Healing asked. We use machines to see inside the body, Tae Hyun explained, setting up a scanning device. This machine uses sound waves to create pictures of internal organs. This one uses magnetic fields to show us brain activity. This one uses radiation to see through skin and muscle to the bones underneath. The scanning machines hummed and beeped. As they examined the Vectari warriors, images appeared on screens showing the inside of their bodies in amazing detail. The aliens stared in wonder at the technology. You can see through solid matter? Vexhara asked in amazement. These are just basic diagnostic tools, Jiho said. On Earth, we have much more advanced equipment. Machines that can see individual cells, scan DNA, and even monitor brain thoughts in real time. Dr. Bora Shin began explaining the mental aspects of human medicine. What makes human medical training unique is that we teach our doctors to think like warriors. They have to be able to cause pain while feeling compassion, to hurt in order to heal. How is this possible? Kextar asked. How can someone be violent and compassionate at the same time? Practice, Bora replied. Human medical students spend years learning to control their emotions while performing procedures that would horrify most people. They learn to see past the immediate pain to the long-term benefit. It's like being a warrior, Vexahara said suddenly. In battle, we must hurt enemies to protect our people. You hurt patients to protect their lives. Exactly, Bora said with approval. But it requires even more discipline than regular combat. In battle, you fight enemies. In medicine, you fight for people you care about. The humans began treating the Vectari warriors' old injuries. They performed surgeries to repair bones that had healed incorrectly, breaking them again and setting them properly. They removed scar tissue that was causing pain and replaced damaged joints with artificial ones. Each procedure that would have terrified other species became routine for the humans. They cut, drilled, burned, and rebuilt the warriors' bodies with calm precision. The Vectari, who understood pain and endurance, began to appreciate the skill required. Your doctors are like master craftsmen, Kextar observed as he watched Jiho perform delicate nerve surgery. They reshape flesh like we reshape metal. Better than that, said engineer Kwang Ho Jun, who was assisting with the procedures. Metal doesn't heal itself. We just guide the body's own repair systems to work more efficiently. Anesthesiologist Yoonji Yu demonstrated the sophisticated chemistry involved in human medicine. We use hundreds of different drugs, she explained, showing the complex array of medicines. Some to stop pain, some to prevent infection, some to help healing, some to control the body's responses during surgery. Each drug is like a precision weapon, she continued. It targets specific systems in the body while leaving others alone. We can make someone unconscious while keeping their heart beating. We can stop pain in one part of the body while leaving the rest normal. The alien healers were amazed by the complexity of human pharmaceutical science. On our worlds, we use natural energy fields, Vale Nash said. But you have created artificial chemicals that can control biological processes. We had to, Yoonji replied. Our world doesn't provide gentle healing energy. We had to make our own medicines from whatever materials we could find. As the treatments continued, something remarkable happened. The Vectari warriors weren't just healing from their old injuries. They were becoming stronger than they had ever been. Human medicine wasn't just fixing damage, it was optimizing their bodies for peak performance. This is impossible, Kextar said as he watched one of his warriors lift weights that had been too heavy before treatment. How can healing make someone stronger than they were originally? Because we don't just repair damage, Jiho explained. We improve on the original design. If a bone breaks, we can make it stronger when we fix it. If a muscle is damaged, we can rebuild it with better structure. You're not just healers, Vexhara said with growing excitement. You're body engineers. You redesign living beings to work better. That's a good way to put it, Jiho agreed. Human medicine is applied engineering. We treat the body like a complex machine that needs maintenance and upgrades. Torgrim, who had been the first to receive human treatment, spoke up. My people have always believed that strength comes from surviving damage, but humans have shown us that true strength comes from refusing to accept damage. Kextar looked around at his warriors, all of them healthier and stronger than they had been in years. We thought we understood violence, he said slowly. But humans have weaponized, healing itself. They make war against weakness, against pain, against death itself. And we usually win, Jiho said with quiet confidence. The Vectari commander felt something he had never experienced before. Humble respect for beings he had thought were weak. These humans weren't just skilled healers. They were masters of controlled destruction who had turned violence into the ultimate expression of care. Word of the healing violence spread through the Vectari fleet faster than anyone expected. Within hours of Battle Commander Kextar's report, ships began requesting permission to dock with the medical vessel. Warriors who had carried injuries for decades wanted to experience human medicine for themselves. Captain Suman Park stood on the bridge, watching the massive Vectari warships approach. Each ship was built for destruction, covered in armor and weapons, but now they came seeking healing instead of conquest. Captain, her communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the Vectari flagship. Fleet Admiral, Morgeth wants to speak with you personally. Suman felt her heart rate increase. Morgeth was legendary even among the Vectari. He had conquered more worlds than any other fleet commander in their history. Stories said he had never lost a battle and never shown mercy to enemies. The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of the Vectari flagship. Fleet Admiral Morgeth was even more imposing than the other warriors. His massive frame was covered in ceremonial scars, each one marking a major victory. His red eyes glowed with intelligence and power. Captain Park, Morgeth said in a voice Like thunder, I have heard impossible reports about your medical capabilities. My warriors claim that humans can perform miracles of healing through acts of controlled violence. Our medical techniques may seem violent to other species, Suman replied carefully, but they are effective. I wish to see this for myself, Morgeth declared. I am coming aboard your vessel with my personal guard. We carry injuries that coalition medicine could not heal, wounds we have worn with pride but which now limit our effectiveness in battle. You're welcome aboard, Admiral, Suman said. Our medical staff will do everything they can to help. An hour later, Fleet Admiral Morgeth and 12 of his elite warriors transferred to the medical ship. Each warrior was a veteran of countless battles, bearing scars that told stories of epic conflicts across the galaxy. Dr. Kim and his team prepared for the most challenging medical cases they had ever encountered. These weren't just injured warriors. They were living legends who had survived battles that should have killed them multiple times over. Admiral, Jiho said as he examined the fleet commander, your injuries are extensive. This damage to your spine should have paralyzed you years ago. Morgeth nodded grimly. A plasma cannon blast during the siege of Kepler Station. I have commanded from a mobility chair ever since, but I refuse to show weakness by seeking alien healing magic. And this neural damage, Dr. Bora Shin added, studying brain scans. It must cause constant pain and reduced cognitive function. Battle. Shrapnel in my skull, Morgeth confirmed. It has affected my memory and reflexes, but a true warrior adapts to any handicap. Surgeon Kwang Ho Jon examined another warrior whose arm had been badly damaged in an explosion. This warrior's limb is held together more by scar tissue than actual bone and muscle. How do you even use this arm? Through willpower alone, the warrior replied proudly. Pain is just another enemy to defeat. The human medical team realized they were looking at warriors who had redefined the concept of fighting through injuries. These Vectari had continued commanding fleets and winning battles despite carrying damage that would have disabled anyone else. We can fix all of these injuries, Jiho told the Admiral. But the procedures will be complex. Your spinal surgery alone will take 8 hours. Do what you must, Morgeth said. But I want to remain conscious during the procedures. I want to understand exactly what you do to my body. That's not advisable, Dr. Yunji Yu said with concern. The pain would be unbearable even for a Vectari warrior. I have endured unbearable pain for decades, Morgeth replied. I will not hide from it now. The humans agreed to perform the surgeries with minimal anesthesia, using local pain blocks while keeping the Admiral conscious. The other Vectari warriors gathered to watch, along with the ship's alien medical staff who were still trying to understand human medicine. The spinal surgery was the most complex procedure anyone on the ship had ever witnessed. Dr. Kim worked with microscopic precision, removing fragments of metal and damaged tissue from around Morgeth's spinal cord. He rebuilt vertebrae using artificial materials and reconnected severed nerve pathways. You work like a master engineer, Morgeth observed, watching his own surgery on monitor screens. But you engineer living flesh instead of metal and circuits. The principle is the same, Jiho replied as he carefully repositioned a damaged nerve. Identify the problem, remove what's broken, rebuild what's needed, test the system. But flesh is more complex than any machine we have built, Engineer Young-Ho Kang added. It repairs itself, adapts to changes, and grows stronger over time. The neural surgery was even more delicate. Dr. Bora Shin worked inside the Admiral's skull, removing metal fragments that had been embedded in his brain for years. She used techniques that seemed impossible to the watching aliens. "How do you operate on a living brain without damaging it?" Crystal Song of Healing asked in amazement. "Very carefully," Bora replied, using tools so precise they could work between individual brain cells. "And with a lot of practice. Human neurosurgeons train for decades to develop this level of skill." One by one, the human doctors performed procedures that the galaxy had never seen before. They replaced damaged organs with artificial ones that worked better than the originals. They rebuilt shattered bones with materials stronger than natural bone. They restored lost functions and eliminated chronic pain that had lasted for years. But the most impressive demonstration came when they treated a warrior who had lost his arm in battle years ago. The Vectari had learned to fight one-handed rather than accept artificial replacements from other species. "Human prosthetics are different," explained biomedical engineer Minji Park, who had joined the team for this procedure. "We don't just replace lost function, we enhance it." The artificial arm they attached was a masterpiece of engineering. It looked natural but was stronger than flesh and bone. It contained built-in tools, sensors that could detect things the warrior's natural senses couldn't, and computer interfaces that could connect to ship systems. "This arm is stronger than my original," the warrior said in amazement as he tested the prosthetic. "And it has capabilities my natural arm never had." "That's human engineering philosophy," Minjay explained. "If we have to replace something, we make the replacement better than what was lost." Fleet Admiral Morgeth stood up from the surgical table, his movements smooth and pain-free for the first time in decades. The chronic pain that had been his constant companion was gone. His reflexes were sharp again, his memory clear. "This is impossible," he said, but his voice carried wonder instead of disbelief. "I feel stronger than I did before I was injured." "You are stronger," Jiho confirmed. "We didn't just repair the damage, we improved on your original design." The alien medical staff watched in awe as warrior after warrior was transformed by human medicine. Each procedure that had looked like torture had resulted in dramatic improvements in health and capability. "Captain Park," Morgeth said formally, "the Vectari Empire wishes to propose an alliance with humanity." Suman was surprised. "An alliance? What kind of alliance?" "A military and medical partnership," Morgeth explained. "We offer our strength in battle, and you offer your healing arts. Together, we could bring peace to the galaxy through superior force and the promise of restoration." "You want to conquer worlds with medicine?" Suman asked. "Not conquer," Morgeth corrected. "Liberate. Show other species what is possible when warriors and healers work together. Demonstrate that strength and compassion are not opposites but partners." Battle Commander Kextar stepped forward. "Captain, we have learned something important from your people. We thought violence was about destruction, but humans have shown us that the highest form of violence is creation." "You make war against suffering itself," Vexhara added. "You fight battles against death and disability and pain. These are enemies worth conquering." Captain Suman Park looked around at the recovered warriors, the amazed alien healers, and her own medical team who had accomplished the impossible. She realized that this moment would change the galaxy forever. "Admiral Morgeth," she said formally, "humanity accepts your alliance, but we have one condition." "Name it," Morgeth replied. "We teach your warriors our medical techniques. We share the knowledge of healing violence with those who understand true strength." Morgeth smiled, showing sharp teeth. Agreed. My warriors will learn to heal as skillfully as they fight. And perhaps, Dr. Kim added quietly, the galaxy will finally understand that the most powerful weapon humans possess is not our ability to destroy, but our refusal to accept that anything should stay broken. Fleet Admiral Morgeth nodded with deep respect. The galaxy calls you Death Worlders because your planet tried to kill you, but you have become something more dangerous than killers. You have become fixers. And there is nothing in the universe more terrifying than beings who can repair anything that breaks. The alliance between humanity and the Vectari Empire began that day, built on the foundation of shared understanding. That true strength comes not from the ability to cause pain, but from the wisdom to know when pain serves the cause of healing.